things they could be doing instead. And so it doesn't happen. If you don't have families who are really into what the kid is going to do, because it's not that there are 2,000 students every year that go to MIT. It's that there is one person who goes to MIT supported by his or her family, and that happens 2,000 times. And everyone's a different story. And everyone has to have a family behind it. The same thing, incidentally, is true about vocations to the priesthood. Why are there so few vocations? Because we've got a bunch of 2-kid families. One son. You know, how many of you or your friends are eager to have the name bearer go off and not have grandkids? It's not easy. When you had 8 kids, you know, a lot of battle for go off to the priesthood and not to give you an inheritance. Not easy. It doesn't happen unless the families are there to support it. And it doesn't happen unless you're in a culture that says doing science just for its own sake is a good thing. It's a glorious thing. It's a wonderful thing. And it's also a thing that is fun to do. The Jesuits at the Vatican Observatory. We went to the same schools as everyone else. You'll see one of the presenters of The Sky at Night in the TV show tomorrow night, whose name I'm blanking at the moment, of course. But he was a postdoctoral fellow at Oxford and happened to be there at the same time as Father Brown, all wonderful names, who even looks like Father Brown, when he was doing his doctoral work there in astronomy. We have a dozen astronomers. They come from around the world. You saw some of them in that movie, or at least you heard some of them in that movie. We all are studying the same astronomy. But why is it different to be an astronomer at the Vatican Observatory? Because ultimately, we're doing it supported in a different way with a different idea of what it means to succeed as an astronomer. What do I mean? I was, an astronomer working for NASA 30 years, 20 years, before I joined the Jesuits. In those days, how did I get funded? Originally, I was a grad student of a professor who got the grant. Then I was the postdoctoral fellow of a professor who got the grant. Then it was time for me to get the grants. I have to write up a long proposal about that thick, describing that much of, all the paperwork that has to go in, and then in a really tiny bit, maybe 15 pages, this is the science I want to do. And here's why you should pay for it. Because you said, when you put out this announcement for proposals, we're looking, we've got, $300 million to do this kind of work, this kind of work, this kind of work, because we're thinking of this mission 5 years from now. What if I don't want to do this kind of work, that kind of work, or the other kind of work? What if I want to do something that is really exciting to me, but nobody's willing to pay for it? Is it going to happen? When I was a graduate student, one of the professors who had gotten some money had money to pay me to work out the idea of what happens if you have a body that's made half of rock and half of ice. Or maybe it's 2/3 rock and 1/3 ice. Or maybe, moons of Jupiter, they're a mixture of rock and ice. Even Harry Potter knows that, or at least Hermione's got to remind him that the moons of Jupiter are covered with ice and not mice. I was given that problem 30 years before Harry Potter. First problem, how much of them is ice and how much of them is rock? Well, I know they've got a little bit of rock and a little bit of ice. I know how dense the moon is because we've measured its size and we've measured its mass. The weight divided by the volume, that's the density. That's what you think of on Christmas morning. When I was a kid in Christmas and I was allowed to open one present before going off to Sunday Mass, Christmas Mass, you could open one present. You got all these boxes. You don't want to open a box full of socks, right? Yeah, how do you know it's going to be socks, and how do you know maybe it's going to be a book? Or even better, chocolate. You weigh them. You say, the same size, this one's heavier, it's denser, probably not socks. It should be safe. You can use that same principle to figure out what's inside a planet. All you have to know is the density of the planet, we know that, the density of the ice, the density of the rock, and then how much ice and rock do you mix together to get the density that matches the density. Simple enough thing to do. Density of ice has been measured for a long time. Bridgman is a fellow who did it. The paper goes back to 1912. The density of rock, well, there's lots of rocks. What kind of rock? The kinds of rocks you find in space are called meteorites. And we've got thousands of them on Earth. So somebody must have measured their density, right? Wrong. Meteorites are held by people called keepers. And they hold on to them real tight and don't let anybody do experiments because they're rare and dangerous. And the way you measure a rock's density is you dunk it in water and see how much water comes out. But you don't want to dunk a meteorite in water. So nobody ever measured their densities. It turns out there is an even more subtle problem. In order to get a meaningful set of data, you've got to measure 1,000 of these guys. And if it takes you a week to measure 5 carefully, then at the end of the year you've got 5 times 52 is 250. And so you're going to get a couple of thousand, and it's going to take about 5 years. But the grants are only good for 3 years. And if you don't have results, you're not going to get renewed. And what's more, nobody else is doing it. I show up at the Vatican Observatory. Rather than saying, here's the money the Vatican has said we'll pay for, you know, the science that they'll pay for, which is what happens when I worked at a NASA institute. The director instead came up to me and said, do good science. What science? Up to you. When's my deadline? No deadline. When am I up for tenure? No tenure. I get the idea. I come up with a clever way of measuring meteorite densities. I get my first, 100 numbers. I present it to a meeting. The grand old man of the meeting comes up to me and says, Guy, why are you measuring meteorite densities? Nobody does that. That's why we do it. We do it in part because it's a service to the rest of the field. I'm not going to get a Nobel Prize for it, but you know what? I'm not doing the science for the Nobel Prize. I'm not going to become rich and famous off it. But I wasn't getting rich and famous. Why do people do things? It's power or money or sex, right? And there's no power in astronomy. It's totally useless stuff. There's no money unless you're Patrick Moore and he's gone. As far as getting girls didn't work for me. Why do we do it? We do it at the end of the day because you get this burst of joy when you do it. When you see the rings of Saturn in a small telescope. When you see pieces of data fit together and you suddenly realize the universe makes sense according to rules. And this is a sign of a universe made by a God who is logical. In arche eto logos, in the beginning was the Word. And the word for word is logos, from which we get the word logical. The second person of the Trinity, the Word, is the logic. In the beginning, there was God, and God was reason, logic, along with being love. And finding logic in the universe is finding God in the universe. And feeling that burst of joy when you find logic in the universe is finding God in the universe. And that's why doing science is an act of worship. You have to start with assumptions in order to do science. And the assumptions you start with, the cosmos that's in your brain, will shape what you see, why you see it, the things that you think are worth doing, the answers that will be satisfying. It's a story. I I tell this about a real person, and one of these days she's going to find out I'm telling these stories about her and she'll be mad. But there's a journalist here in Britain, Emma Townsend, who I think she writes the column in some of the, maybe you probably know some of the stuff she's done. She wrote a thing about 10 years ago that I found online, which was just fascinating. And it was about her growing up. She was a little girl, her daddy is wonderful, because every little girl hopes, you hope every little girl thinks her daddy is wonderful. And he was on the road a lot because he was in business, but when he was home, life was great. By the time she got to be 11 or 12, rather than just, thinking my dad was, wow, what a rock star, she discovers that her daddy, Pete Townsend, really is a rock star. The lead guitarist for The Who, on the road, millions of records sold. They say that the first time John Lennon's kids knew he was in the Beatles was when they saw the movie Yellow Submarine. You never told me you were in a rock and roll band. Well, no, you were kind of young then. We're in that same position. We grow up knowing God as Father, as Abba, as Daddy. We believe because we have experienced the love of God. We've experienced that love in the people we know. If you're lucky, you get it in liturgies. You may just have had that burst of unexplained joy that comes to you every now and then when you're feeling the lowest and suddenly, life is rotten, but God loves me. Yeah, I'm a sinner, but God loves me. One of the weird things of Jesuit spirituality is that in their long retreat, they get you to spend a week thinking about your sinfulness, not so that you'll feel awful about it, but so that you will be so amazed at how much God loves you in spite of it. We experience this God of love who loves me so incredibly personally. And then, as we grow up, we discover that's the same God who did the supernova. That's the same God who put the stars out there. That's the same God who's the rock star of the universe. And then you've realized just how incredibly privileged we are to be able to call ourselves children of that God. If you don't believe in God, you can do science. Not quite clear why you're doing it, I look at somebody, there's a wonderful picture of Richard Dawkins in front of that bus that he had, don't believe in God, you can be happy now. Which is to say that God he doesn't believe in is a God that means he can't be happy. I don't believe in that God either. But then to show off that this is a wonderful thing, he's got his arm around this babe with a t-shirt with the same logo on it. And that's obviously his idea of being happy. Obviously her idea of having a sugar daddy, whatever. If he's doing science so that he can get his name on TV, if he's doing science so that, it's the route to fame and glory, well, good luck to him. But that's not why I'm doing science. We do science for the joy which is the love of God. Because I believe in God, I can see God everywhere in the universe. If I didn't believe in God, I wouldn't be able to see that. That's the cosmos in my head. That's the cosmos that can either trap me or open things up. And that's the God of the cosmos that I want to talk about. If it had been dark, I could have shown you the wonderful pictures that would make you go, ooh and ah. Go on the internet, you can find it for yourselves. Because part of that is that it is stuff you can do for yourself. You can walk outside now and notice the sky's blue, and the sun is shining, and the trees are moving. And you guys live in the most beautiful country in the world. I think you already knew that, but I just wanted to remind you. And this is the glory of God. Of course, people who live in Arizona are convinced it's the most beautiful country in the world. It's just a different kind of beauty. Because God's there too. Because God loves this corner of England with all of his heart and his might, just as he does Arizona, just as he does Africa. Because God loves this person with all of his energy and his might. And that person, and not sure about you, but that person. Because God's infinite, he can do that. And that's the God who I get to play with. I'll end with a story. I remember as a kid, rainy Sunday afternoon, sun, can't go out to play because it's raining. Mom comes out, deals little cards, we're playing rummy together. And as sometimes happens when you're a kid, you go along being a kid and suddenly you get this moment of insight. And you're fully an adult for about a second and a half. The adult you're going to be. It happens. Those seconds come longer and longer the way you're. Teenagers are not half as mature as adults. Teenagers are absolutely completely as mature as adults half the time. The other half of the time, even they don't know what they're doing. So I had this little insight that goes, she could win this game. She's a grown-up. I'm not. Why is she doing this? She's doing it because she loves me. She's doing this because this is how she can show me how she loves me. Spending time with me. And I'm in the lab trying to tease out some detail of the meteorites that I play with. And God's playing with me. Not as equals, but like my mom. Saying, you got to see this puzzle I sent you. This is really cool. And yeah, you got it. Now let me show you the next one. It's my way of being intimate with the Creator. That's how creation and studying creation is an act of worship. And I don't care what you guys do. If you're a gardener, you're doing that. You're playing with God. God is playing with you. If you're somebody who reads poetry or writes poetry, you're imitating God in the creative act to get a little bit closer to God. So that you have that moment where, yeah, that was the word I wanted. If you're doing whatever it is, raising a family, caring for an elderly person, being cared for by somebody, and those moments come when it works right and you know God's there. That's why we do it. So thank you all for coming and seeing how I do it. And as I say, it's a little past. We'll take a break now. And I don't know who's running things. Do we have, they're not expecting us for meals until 12:30. Is that the idea? So we've got a little bit of time. Yes?
We can have a break for lunch when you...
Let's do the break now and everybody start writing up questions. And then when we come back at what time?
So this is the lunch break. How long do you need? An hour.
An hour. Let's give people an hour to enjoy the sunshine.
Okay.
Come back here at 1 o'clock.
Quarter past 1?
Quarter past 1. Questions in the box.
But in the meantime, questions.
Quarter past 1. Write up your questions. Write up your questions and throw them in here.